Welcome to another episode of the Chronicles of Mr. I'm Mr. Pierre, and I'm so glad to be able to have this conversation with another awesome educator, Ms. Stanley. Thank you, Lecsis. Thank you for coming on to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
To begin with, I like just to ask guests, like, how did you get into education? Was it something that you always wanted to do, or did some way or another do you fall into it, or did someone suggest it, and that's how you got into it? So how did Ms. Stanley end up in education?
Well, I have a lot of educators in my family. When I was in elementary school, I would go to work with my godmother all the time. She was a music teacher, so I would go with her and I would help her teach. She would let me help her with like her bulletin boards and all those kinds of things. And I just kind of fell in love with like teaching. I just really, really liked it. And when I was in high school, I actually went to an arts high school, so everybody thought I was going to do something in the arts. And for a hot second, I was going to, but the senior, so my art thing was piano. So I did piano in high school. When I was a senior, I had one block that was empty because I didn't have a class. So my piano teacher, she needed like a co-teacher for her beginning piano class. So she
Okay.
asked me if I wanted to help. So I helped her kind of teach her piano class. And I'm like, this teaching thing is kind of cool. Like, I think I might want to do this. So that's kind of where it like solidified for me. I was like, yes, teaching, that's what I want to do.
Awesome. And this next question isn't to shame anyone, but it is something as an educator, I'm sure that you've seen. Not a lot of folks are choosing to stay. A lot of folks are choosing to exit, and that is 100% okay. As educators, I think we all know, like, look, it can be a lot. It is a lot. And if you are a person who's choosing to leave, by all means, that's cool because we've all had an educator or two where we're like, you don't seem like you're really happy to be here. Maybe someone else should be in that seat instead of you. So, what's kept you in the seat, so to speak, of being an educator?
I think the biggest thing for me is the Black and brown children that I teach because I mean, I've talked to friends of mine who have told me that they didn't have their first like African American Black teacher until they were in like high school. And I teach elementary school. So I'm like, I just feel like we all need
Yeah,
to have at least one Black teacher or teacher of
yeah,
color in elementary school, at least one. I know sometimes it's harder, in smaller towns or things like that, but I just feel like especially in those areas it's important because these babies that go to school, they need to see people that look like them, that are,
yeah,
successful and doing well, and that will tell them like, hey, you can do this one day too, or whatever it is that you want to do, like you can do it. So they need to see, people that look like them that are in those positions are able to do those things so that they know that they can do it too.
yeah. I agree with you 100%. I'm primarily in middle school, but to speak to what you just said of like having a teacher, like you mentioned, hey, I was in high school and a teacher saw something in me, asked if I can assist. To know that whether it be in elementary, middle, or high school, and the earlier the better, for someone to speak a truth, or to see something in you and sort of feed that seed, and for it to then have the potential to blossom, um, is huge. Is huge. Is huge. Is huge. Was elementary always the group of kids that you wanted to teach?
Yes. I just really like the babies. I
Yeah.
in second grade. When I was in college, I was like, for sure, like, I'm going to teach kindergarten. There's nothing else I'm going to teach. I'm never going to want to do anything other than kindergarten. And I got my first teaching job, and I actually taught a combo kindergarten first grade class. Most of what I taught was the first graders because my kindergartners were pulled out to other kindergarten classes for part of the day. Um, but I really enjoyed first grade. It was really, really fun. And so, like, the next year, they asked, they're like, well, do you want to do kindergarten? Do you want to do first grade? And I was like, I'll take first grade. And I
Ooh,
taught first grade for 6 years. And then this is my first year in second grade. And I can say that first and second is definitely where my heart is at. I love
nice.
the babies. And I mean, I like that they're big enough, like we can do stuff. They can, they have more independence, but they're still super sweet. They love all of the
Yeah.
fun things. And they really just like really love school still, which I like.
Yep.
That makes my job fun because
Yeah.
they enjoy it. So it's hard
Yeah.
when they're not as enthusiastic about stuff. So yes, elementary is
I
always where my heart lives.
I love hearing educators who know like, hey, my heart is with this group of students, that my heart is with the high school kids, or my as as a person who's middle school, anytime tell folks that, hey, I teach predominantly middle school, it's like, oh, bless your heart. I'm like, no, no, no. This is where I am happiest. This is where I know, like, I remember being that middle schooler. So to like immediately ask you the question and then like sort of see like your face light up and like the smile of like, no, no, the babies are where I'm meant to be is pretty awesome. Did you have a teacher like that coming up? Like, it seems like from listening to you, like you love elementary. Did you have a teacher who was like, no, I love what I do. This
I
is my calling, if you will.
I did. So it was actually my first
Awesome.
grade teacher, which is funny that I was
Hey.
in kindergarten, but then it ended up in first grade for so long. I said it must meant to be. But my first
Yes,
grade
yes.
teacher, still to this day, is like my favorite teacher. I love her. She was amazing. She came to my dance recitals. Like she was like amazing. My mother loved her, and she just made school like so much fun. And I went to a private school when I was in elementary school. So I had to wear uniforms, and so I know like whenever I tell people that, they think that like my elementary experience was so like not fun, and I'm like, no, it was actually really really fun, especially that year. Like she was really really amazing. She was just so sweet, so patient, so wonderful. I love her. And even now
Awesome.
my mom still keeps in touch with her, and she's wonderful. We love her. So yes, I've
That's awesome.
always thought of her all the time. When I do stuff with my kids, I think about like how we did things with her, and I'm like, I'm gonna do just like her, do just like she did, because she made school fun for me. So I really try to make school fun for my kids.
Was she ever someone who sort of whispered in your ear of like, hey, I see this in you, and then you're like, oh, you see that? Okay. If so and so is saying that about me, that's then something I can do.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Awesome.
And when I was, so I grew up in Jersey, and I live in North Carolina now, but we moved to North Carolina when I was about 11 or 12. Um,
Okay.
and when we got ready to move, I actually moved in the middle of the year. I think I was 11 or 12, like fifth grade, sixth grade. So my school went up to middle school. Um, so the day before we left, like my last day of school, I went around
Yeah.
to all the teachers and told them goodbye. And I had this little like stuffed dog thing that everybody could sign an autograph. And she wrote like the nicest little note on there for me. And she told me, she's like, you're going to be great. Don't worry about it. She's like, you can call me. My mom can send me a message, whatever you need. And like I said, my mom, she still keeps in touch with her. When I became a teacher, she was like over the moon, so happy,
Awesome.
like so proud. So yes, she's amazing.
That's amazing. That's dope to hear because in having these conversations on this podcast, that has been one of the central through lines of like there was someone, whether they were a teacher or someone of, hey, they looked over me, maybe it was a caretaker, an after school person who was like, no, I see this in you. Is this something you ever thought of? And it sort of created the caterpillar to then go through this metamorphosis to become the butterfly. I mean, it sounds like that's what this teacher was for you, who saw something in you, spoke, said it out loud, let your mom know about it too, and it sort of created or helped create the Miss Stanley that we see today. So dope, dope, dope. Being in education for a few years now, you sort of have that feel now of like, okay, I know this is going to work. I know for sure that this is not going to work. I need to do this later in the year. Or, hey, I had this activity, but I need to see this from my students before we introduce it. Knowing that everything can't be a priority, is there one thing that if you could jump into your time machine and give your younger teacher self or just younger self, hey, this is going to help you out in the years to come, what would be that one thing?
I think I would tell myself that it's okay if it's not perfect. Like it's okay if it's
Ah,
not perfect, and also like going on along with that, as long as the kids are taken care of, as long as you know that you're doing whatever you're doing for them, like you don't
yeah,
have to stress about like the little details. I think my first couple of years of teaching, like I wanted so badly for everything to be exactly the way I planned it. I wanted everything to go right. I wanted everything to
Hmm.
perfect. And I think that my kids still had great experiences with me, but I think
Yeah.
they would have been even better if I had just said, you know what, we're going to try this and we're going to do our best. And as long as I feel like you guys are getting what you're supposed to get, we're not going to stress over the
Yeah.
little details. And I even
Now
find
is
myself, oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh no, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I even find myself like sometimes with my students, I have one in particular that comes to mind that I have to almost tell them the same thing because I told me that like your kids like take on like your personality or your like
Yep.
traits. And I
Yep.
have a couple in my class this year that have that like perfectionist kind of thing about them. And so I even
Yeah.
find myself having to tell them like it's okay. Like as long as we're doing our best, as long as you're proud of what you've done, you know, you feel like you did the best you could do, like we're not gonna sweat the small stuff. We're gonna look at the big picture.
Before I accidentally cut you in, I was going to say, like, do you see that in some of your students? Because that's something that I've noticed as well over the years is that there usually is one or two kids, students, that seem to sort of take on that, I will say energy, but the thing that you're like, okay, I'm sort of projecting this, and it seems like this one student or students is picking up on it. And then vice versa, maybe there was a teacher who likewise had that energy, and it's like, all right, if my teacher is sort of frazzled, what do they know that I that sort of like
Um,
infuses into you? So
I don't know that I really had a teacher that I can think of that had that kind of energy. I think that I've always just kind of been like that with that like I have a plan on how I want something to go and then I'm like it has to
yeah,
be that way. And I know like with my kids and it's especially with a few because I actually looped this year. So
yeah,
last year I was in first grade and I looped up with my kids. So I have 6 kids in my class that I had in my class last year. And with those
nice.
ones, those are the ones that I see it
Okay.
like some of my stuff because they've been with me for all this time. They've gotten to know me,
Yeah,
things. So I definitely I see that in some of them sometimes.
awesome, awesome. There's so much that I've heard, and I've looped a couple times. What are some of the benefits to that of like, hey, there's some students who sort of know me already, and so this is a plus, but then there are also some of the students who know me already, and so there could be some drawbacks. Do you see what are sort of the pluses and minuses to it?
So this is the first time that I've looped. And now my district did like some rezoning. So I only got to keep some of my kids because others of them were rezoned to a different school. Um, but I definitely think that the ones that I have again this year, when we started the year off, we didn't really have to do a whole lot of the like getting to know you things at the beginning, you know,
Yeah.
even like the rules and procedures and all that, because I kept a lot of my systems and procedures like similar. I mean, we're in a different room in a different grade, but I mean, I kept
Hmm.
a lot of my things pretty similar to the way that we did it last year. And I think it even
Yeah.
helped with like the ones that didn't loop with me, like the ones that are new to me this year, because the ones I already had, they already kind of knew. So they would just kind of like let the other ones know, like, oh, well, this is what we do, or this is how we do it. Um, so it even gave those kids like a little bit of like leadership or like a little bit of like, oh, I know what to do. Oh,
Awesome.
some things. And I mean, I think too, like I had last year, I had a really good group last year, and I have a really good group this year too. They were like really, really close, really, really friendly. And we had a really big like family kind of community class last year. So I think
Yeah.
that keeping some of those kids together has been really, really good for like their social skills and all those kinds of things. Because I've seen them like grow from these like little shy first graders to like these big almost third graders, and they're very
Yeah.
social, they're very accepting of each other, they love to help each other. So I think it's definitely been really beneficial for them.
Awesome. Uh, I I echoing everything that you said. The few times that I've rolled up with students, it's been the same thing. It's I've asked them like, "Hey, would you mind being my sort of teacher's assistant, my TA, to help do this, explain it to certain kids?" And it's been fantastic, like you said, to at the beginning of the year to just be able, for lack of a better word, hit the ground running
Yeah.
on day one, knowing like, hey, we're going to do this, do this. You already know how we do things. So you don't have to sort of learn it. And then to be able to have those students take on that leadership, take on that role of being able to explain to their teammates or classmates has also been so beneficial as well.
Yeah. And I think it's been good even for like the ones that didn't live with me that are new to me. Because
Yep.
majority of them were in at my school last year. They were just in a different class. So a lot of them they knew me. So when they came to
Yep.
grade, they're like, oh, we know you.
Yeah.
I wasn't
Yep.
brand new to them. And I think seeing how close like my kids that came with me are,
Yeah.
kind of, they were very accepting. They kind of brought them all in. So I think it's been great for all of them. My
That's
first
awesome to hear.
wanted to go to third grade. I told her I cannot go to third grade because is
This
where
is
I
it.
would like to stay, but I would
Yeah.
consider it for this group of kids. I would consider it.
That's dope. That's dope. And that's awesome to hear. I can only imagine like the students who've had you like to have that familiarity, to know that here's a person who knows me, who cares about me, um, sees me, and will be able to speak certain things when I may not be having the best of days, or when they have their meltdowns in elementary. It's like, no, no, Miss Stanley's gonna, with gentle hands, loving hands, be able to help me get through it. So that's dope.
And I
If
do,
I could ask you, oh, go ahead.
sorry.
No, it's all good.
Gonna say I do have a few that came up with me who, we've had things that we've had to work on, and I can see like, their transition from first grade to second grade with the,
Yeah,
emotional things, their behavior, all of that. Even when they have challenges, it's so much uh I don't know if easier is the right word, but that's the word I'll use. It's like it's easier almost to kind of, de-escalate or kind of get them out of those, negative spaces because like I tell them like guys, we've been in this together for a long time. Like we got it, like we already know, you know what to expect from me. I know what to expect from you. And I almost
yeah,
already kind of know like the things that I could do or things that we could have going on that might trigger some of those things, and I can be like proactive about those things with some of them because I just already know. And so we
yep,
started all that out at the very beginning of this year. So this year in particular, I feel like has gone very smoothly in that way because I already kind of knew a lot of those things for most of these kids. So I feel like it's been a really positive experience for everybody.
yeah. I was gonna speak to like the things that you are sort of the systems and routines that you have right now. Was that something sort of trial and error, or was it something? Oh, I've seen this in another class, and I'm sort of just gonna sort of mold it so that it's more authentic to you.
It's kind of a mixture. I've gotten a lot of ideas. Like my very first school that I was at, um, I got a lot of ideas from a teammate that I had there. 'Cause she had been teaching for a long time, so some of the things
Yeah,
that she did, I would kind of adapt to kind of how it fit in my room the best. And then this year, this is my second year at the school that I'm at. So last
yeah,
year, when it was my first year, I took a lot of the stuff I did at my other school and just kind of adjusted to fit at this new school. Um,
yeah,
and sometimes it also depends on the kids. I really
yep,
try to make my classroom like I let them run it. Like they got it. I try to make it so that they can be as independent as possible. Like they all have jobs and they have, all the things that they do because I tell the kids like I'm like, I'm your teacher, of course. I'm here for you, all the things, but I want to teach you how to be independent, how to, kind of take control of your environment. And, for these months that we're in school, your classroom, it's like your house, like your second house, because you're here all day. We're all here together. Let's
yep,
all do all of the things we need to do to kind of keep our classroom together. Um, so I give them a lot of responsibility. Um, and they love it. They little ones, they love to help. They love to feel like they're, like doing stuff and they really, really like
yeah.
so for the most part, I keep my systems and things the same as the years go. I might adjust a little bit, kind of depending on the group. But we usually are pretty good. They do a good job. They do a good job.
No, I love hearing that, and I love seeing and speaking with teachers who do just that, who have the students have responsibility. I mean, like you mentioned, particularly at the younger age, they are so wanting to help and assist. So using that and allowing them to see that you are merely sort of like the maestro of the symphony, but each person has a part to play. Um, yeah, I think it's fantastic. I think more and more teachers, hopefully, as they're listening to, in sort of implement that, whether it be elementary school, middle school, or high school, however age appropriate it is, to be able to have the students have that agency, because we are looking to have and influence young people to be what's the word, contributing members of a society. We don't want you to just be like, all right, I have nothing to do. It's like, no, okay, each of us can contribute in one way or another, and
Yeah,
that's how we're all able to. Many hands make the load lighter. So yeah, that's dope.
absolutely.
That's dope.
Yeah, I tell the kids all the time, I'm like, whenever I'm not here, like if we have a substitute or someone to cover, I want you guys to be able to do all the things that you need to do to try to keep
Absolutely,
visual and all that as close to normal as possible. And I've gotten like,
absolutely.
notes from subs that say that they do a really good job with their jobs, remembering how, like, because I have them take stuff out, put stuff away, pass things out, and they already kind of know by
Yep.
about the by about like week 3 or 4. They're really really good about knowing, like, okay, my job is to do this, so whenever we get ready to do that, I know that I need to go and get X, Y, and Z, put it over here, clean it up, do all the things. So they do a really good job. And I've had
Yeah.
lots of parents that have told me that like they're surprised at like how well they do, like with, with like jobs, but even like other like activities we do where they have to be really independent, or where a lot of the workload is on them, because they're like, oh,
Yep.
so little, they can't. And I'm like, yes, they can do
Yes,
it.
they can.
They can
Yes,
do
they can.
they can do it. Like, and I think it's more meaningful for them. Like, if you do it
Absolutely.
time, it's like, eh. But like, if they have to do like what I call the productive struggle to get it done,
Yes.
like
Yes.
that's more meaningful for them. They're gonna take much more pride in what they've done if they have to, do the work. So I
Absolutely.
try to instill that in them, even with like our classroom. Like, we want our classroom to look nice. We want our classroom to run nicely and smoothly. Like, we all have to put in the effort and do the things to make sure that it can do that.
I, I'm cheesing from ear to ear because I agree with you. Whether it be elementary or middle school or high school, it merely is just teach them how to do it, and
Mhm.
then sort of get out the way and allow them to do it. It may not look exactly the way that you want it to, and that's okay. Like giving a little wiggle room for them to do it their way.
Mhm.
Um, but for it to still get done is like cool. And if it's done in such a way that it could possibly be dangerous or hurt someone, or it's like, hey, this is going to take way more time, it's like, all right, let's modify this. Actually, it should be done like this. But again, teach them and
Mhm.
then allow them to get to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope. Um, as an elementary or just for your own, I guess, benefit, is there anything that you've read or are reading that you're like, hey, this has been a really good book just for me personally, or for me, the educator?
So I have actually, and I can't remember the name, but there's a book that I read. It's like a self-help book.
Okay.
Um, and it talks about, actually it talked about the perfectionist thing, which is kind of where I got that idea, is, or what's reinforcing that idea for me is like, it doesn't always have to be perfect. Everything doesn't have to be exactly the way that you envision it in your brain.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it though, but I have read a couple of self-help books that do say those kinds of things, which really help push those ideas for me.
Awesome. Awesome. And then this is the question that I am really loving to ask, because as a person who loves music, I love to get ideas from folks. If you were to create the Miss Stanley playlist and knowing that, hey, in 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, this could change, and that's okay. But at the moment, what would be on your playlist if you could either name type 5 songs, 5 artists, uh, 5 albums? What would be on Miss Stanley's playlist at the moment?
So right now, okay, it would be SZA, like
Okay.
the song, because I'm like
All right.
all over my phone right now. So SZA, Janae Aiko, she's all over
Okay.
right now too. Um, And if I'm playing like the instrumental in my class, it's okay. So I would do hint. We can play. Those would be okay.
I love the specificity of, hey, it's the instrumental.
Because we do.
Understood.
We do
Understood.
actually listen to some of the instrumentals because my kids
Yes.
do that stuff. But I'm like,
Uh-huh.
though we can do the music, but not the words.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
But yes, I think those would be my top three.
Okay.
Those would be my top three. And if I had to do top five songs, they would all come from them. Probably mostly from SZA.
Come from them. Got it. I love it. I love it. I spoke to another guest too who left number five as an open slot of like, hey, we could insert so many other people. So I love that you've gone to, hey, those would be three, and those other two are probably going to be from one of those three artists,
For sure.
or their instrumentals. That works. That works. I love it. I love it. One of the things I appreciated the most about this conversation is what you stated in regards to giving that sort of role to the students so that they see that they are participating within the classroom space, and it's not just like I'm just consuming, consuming, consuming. It's like, no, I'm contributing in some way or another. If my job, my role is to get the markers, cool. That's my job. I know what to do. I know how to do it. If it's to hand out or pass out certain papers, cool, cool, cool. If it's to remind Mr. Pierre or remind Miss Stanley, hey, here's the time. I'm supposed to tell you when it's this particular time, then cool, cool, cool. To know that our kids can have some autonomy within the classroom. It doesn't have to be always you.
Yeah.
Like, trust your kids that if you teach them right, and that's part of the routine, then they'll be able to rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
So dope,
And
dope, dope.
I think that, and I talked about this yesterday with someone else. Um, like since COVID, I feel like that's been like a shift, like giving them more of the weight, like academically and just in
Yeah.
general. Because,
Yep.
before COVID, I feel like we weren't really doing as much of that. But then, with the shutdown and having to be at home, and, I don't know so much about the older kids, but I know like our kids, like we would do like, live lessons, but schoolwork was, they had to do that at home, with their parents or by themselves. And then when
Yeah.
we returned to school, we were 6 feet apart. We couldn't be too close. So I don't think that we really could give as much of that, like, I'll just do it for you, or I'll just kind of guide
Yeah.
you through it as we could do in
Yep.
the past. So I think, I mean, COVID, of course, was terrible, but I think that is something that came out of it that is to me, that's positive, is the shift that we've kind of had into this, like, let's give them some more of this, some more of the load. And I think sometimes people are so quick to say, oh, they're too little, or your job
Hmm.
is to do it and kind of model it. And I mean, I model things for them all the time, but I also think that as an educator, your kids, right? Like,
Yeah.
know what they can do, what they can't do, what they need more guidance on or less guidance on. So you kind of have to take what you know about your kids and kind of just do what you have to do, and give them only what they need and not more than what they need, because they're not gonna it's not gonna feel as good, I think, for them if they don't have some of that role to play. So I think that's one thing, that I think we definitely got out of COVID and all of that mess.
Folks, if you're listening or watching, I feel like Miss Stanley is just dropping gems left and right. Lexus, thank you. I think that you're absolutely right that COVID, as horrible as it was, and there are still ripple effects of that isolation, and you know, but there are some things that it sort of shifted our paradigm as teachers to be able to say, like you just mentioned, our kids can do a lot more than we're giving them credit. And I think some of us, COVID forced that sort of shift of like, hey, put more of the load on them and to see that they can rise to the occasion, to be able to do a lot more than I think some were thinking that they were capable of. Um, and I also think students being at home and parents being at home more and actually realizing, oh snap, these are all the things that a teacher was doing.
Yeah.
Um, Sort of like force them to say, no, no, you can do more than just sit there. There's a lot more you actually can do, and to sort of shift the thinking of parents and students of like, all right, yeah,
Hmm.
I can do this. So
We're
if
getting
you're listening to this, yeah, Miss Stanley's dropping it left and right. Go ahead.
we're getting
Love
ready.
it.
we're on my school's on spring, well, Saturday, but we were on spring break this past week that just ended. So when I go back to school, we're getting ready. My class is getting ready to start getting ready for student led conferences.
Yep.
It's an idea that I got from the school that I student taught at. They used to do
Yep.
it school wide every year. I think they did it in like the third quarter. So that would be like their third quarter conference. They would have student led conference night, and the parents would come, and every class they would like prepare each student would prepare however many work samples. They'd have like a little script to kind of go on, and they would talk to their family about like how they felt they were doing and their work and all those kinds of things. So I asked my principal a couple weeks ago, I was like, what do you think about me doing that in my class instead of like regular conferences? And she's like, sure. So she said, let me
Yeah.
know how it goes. Let me know if you need anything. And so I talked to the kids about it like before we went on break, and I told them that we're going to pick out like a couple of different work samples of yours, and we're gonna do like a rating sheet. You guys are gonna get to rate yourself on like how well you think you're doing and following directions, and being respectful, paying attention, all those kinds of things. And then when your parents come, like you get to be in charge. Like you get to lead that conversation with your mom, your dad, your grandma, whoever it is that comes. And I'll be here just if you need me. But like you got it. Like you can do it. You
Yeah.
just talk to them about, like how you feel like you're doing. And my parents are pretty excited. I've had a couple that have like asked me, like, okay, well, what is it? Like what are they gonna be doing? And I've explained it to them, and they're like, they can do that? I'm like, yes, like,
Hey.
do it. Like, just wait. You just come and watch. They can do it. So
Yeah.
I'm excited. It's the first time I'm doing it. And I mean, like, I helped out a little bit when I student taught, but I didn't do like the bulk of it. I just kind of was watching. And I student taught
Yeah.
in a kindergarten class, and they are doing it in kindergarten. I'm like, if kindergartners can do that, then surely my almost third graders can do it. So I'm pretty excited about that.
And I love to hear that. And I've done that a few years in middle school as well too, where it's the kiddos save the artifacts. Here are the glows, the things that have been really doing really well on. Here's an artifact where it's a grow. And for them to speak on, hey, the reason why this was, let's say, a 15 out of 20. I didn't do this, this, and this, but here's another piece of an artifact that, as you can see, there's been some growth here. I'm still not perfect, which none of us are. We are just looking to progress.
Yeah.
And for them to speak on, these are the things that I'm doing, mom, dad, auntie, tia, abuela, whoever,
Mm-hmm.
um, to help me get better is so much more powerful than me as the teacher saying, hey, I think this. I only have this piece of work or this assessment that was taken. But for the child to speak, for the student to speak for themselves
Yeah.
is so much more powerful.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But I
Miss
think like
Stanley, thank you very much. Oh, you're dropping them left and right. Yeah. What else did you think? I want to know what else. What else you got?
when I've had like just traditional kind of parent teacher conferences with parents, it's wonderful, and I think those are really good for like the beginning of the year, like maybe after the first quarter or so, to really kind of like give the parents an idea of like what's going on and how things have started off. But I think it's so much more meaningful like when the kids can be involved, and I encourage my parents to bring their kids with them to their conferences that we have. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. But when they do, I'll ask the kids. I'm like, okay, well, you heard me tell mom, dad, grandma, uncle, whoever, all of these.
Yeah.
Like, do you agree? Like, what do you think? Like, what tell me what you think about what I said, or tell me what you
Yeah.
think about what how you're doing. And like, okay, so you think you should do better at this? Okay, what can we do to help you be better at that? Or what can we do? Like, how can I help? What can you do? What can mom or dad do at home to help you? Like, I love it when it's like a conversation, because I tell
Yeah.
them, I'm like, it's your learning. Like, I mean, I'm here for you, of course, but at
Yeah.
the end of the day, like, this is all for you. Like, it's your learning. So you tell me what it is that you need, and I got you, and we'll do
That,
what we do.
that's awesome. I'm hoping that more and more teachers gravitate to that sort of conference,
Hmm.
and students get accustomed to speaking for themselves in regards to their growth. Because I think for so long, I'll throw myself in that boat of us older heads are accustomed to like, oh, the teacher, it's a parent teacher conference, and like the student's not in the classroom or not in the space, doesn't hear the conversation, isn't able to advocate or give some sort of input as to why things are the way that they are. And so to know that we're now shifting, or some, and hopefully more and more will shift to this of like, no, let it be a student-led conference of the student can speak to, this is how I've been growing in such and such space. This is what I've been doing. Here are the artifacts. Let me save one or two things or more to be able to speak to. Hey, you can see the progress. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there. And yeah, so I think in the beginning, quarter one or semester one, it could be more, maybe 60-40 to teacher and then student, but it then shift to maybe a 60-40, the kiddo, the student, and then, hey, you run this. I'm just here to like agree,
Yeah.
agree, agree. But the student can lead it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm giving the moment of silence just for whoever's listening, like to take it in, because there have been so many things that you have stated that I hope folks are like, oh, that's a good idea. Let me write that down. Let me look to implement it. Um, I also feel like this is not going to be the last time that we chat, because there have been so many great things that you have mentioned. And I think having such a great teacher in elementary that folks who are in that space to hear, all right, she's from Jersey, but she's teaching in NC. It's the best of both worlds. It's the best of both worlds. So, Miss Stanley, thank you very much for coming on to the podcast and dropping the gems that you did.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, folks, she's the fantastic Miss Stanley, Lecsis Stanley. I'm Mr. Pierre. This has been another episode of A Chronicles of Mr. Thank you very much for listening, watching. Do all the things, hit all the buttons, the likes, the shares, the comments. It's greatly much appreciated. And this episode